Hello, I'm Cookie, and welcome back to another episode of the Untold Origins, the series where I talk about the backstories of one or multiple minor characters from my series Legends. In today's episode, I'll be talking about Leon. Born in the savannas of the arid lands, Leon had a normal childhood, being raised by his mother and aunts. His mother had lost his previous litter during a pride takeover, which caused her to be very protective over him and his sisters. As a young cub, he was not allowed to be near his father, which frustrated him. At the time, he was the only male cub in the pride, and didn't feel as strong as the connection between himself and the other females. He took his future responsibility of caring for a pride very seriously, and couldn't understand why he needed to learn how to hunt. As a result, Leon tried to be difficult with his mother, hoping that she would have enough of him and allow him to spend time with his father. Leon, it's time for a hunting lesson. No, I'm not going. Sorry, but you are. Hey! However, she was very patient with him and never allowed his behavior to get to her. And it paid off as Leon became more mature and now hates looking back how he behaved in his younger years. When he was old enough, he left the pride in search of his own. Remembering how he wasn't allowed to be near his father, Leon decided that if he was going to take over a pride, he would find one with no young cubs to kill. After many months, he finally found the pride he was looking for. The lion was on the older end, and there was no cubs. Leon challenged him, and thanks to being younger and stronger, managed to defeat him. But he couldn't bring himself to finish him off, so he exiled him instead. It took a while for the lionesses to adjust to their new leader, but Leon time and time again proved that he was a competent leader capable of protecting the territory. Eventually, one of the lionesses gave birth to his cubs, 3 of them to be exact. He wasn't allowed to meet them right away, but once he was able to, he made sure to be extra careful with them. You can't catch me! Wow! Sorry, Dad. It's alright, it was an accident. Now, go back to your mother. All was well for Leon and his pride, until one day, strange humans arrived. He had seen humans before, but they've always stayed as far away and never tried to go near them. However, these ones were different, and he knew he had to do his job and protect his pride and territory. He alerted the lionesses, who quickly prioritized the cubs' safety while Leon tried to fight the humans. What he didn't realize was the humans were not going to fight him, and instead, they hit him with a tranquilizer, knocking him out. When he woke up, he was in some cage covered with a sheet, and was moved, but didn't know where. He was more concerned about his pride than his own safety. After what seemed like forever, the sheet was removed, and Leon saw that he was outside a red and white tent. Unbeknownst to him, Leon was captured and sold to a circus in the modern lands. He saw other animals, some he recognized, and some that he didn't, though he quickly realized he was the only lion. Part of him was relieved, thinking that his pride was safe, but the other part wasn't 100% sure. He also saw humans, new ones, talking and pointing at the animals. One human approached him, smirking at his newest addition. Another one, a werewolf, stood behind him. Just look at this beauty. Yeah, he's wild though. Gonna be pretty hard to tame. Well, I think we can handle it. At first, Leon didn't understand them, but eventually figured out they were referring to each other as Trey, who was the human, and Trevor, the werewolf. They were siblings for the record. For the next few months, he would be trained to perform. At first, he resisted, lashing out at his trainers, but as a result was punished. Trevor is a mind fairy and used their magic to disorient and force Leon into submission. Trey would also hit him with his whip. After a while, he grew tired of the punishments and started doing what he was told, becoming a shell of his former self. To train Trevor, Leon was the highlight of the show, bringing joy to a large crowd, but no one could see his sadness and emptiness. Though the circus was a success for the siblings, Trey had bigger aspirations. He wanted to perform at the largest nation in the world, Wolverina. However, Wolverina is very strict about protecting animals, and up until then, no circus using animals had been allowed to perform. But Trey was determined to change that, and after many months, he got the approval he needed to go, albeit having to lie about how he trains the animals to do so. And so, Leon and all the other animals were flown to Wolverina. Part of him hoped that one day he could escape. Part of him also wanted to protect the other animals from their shared fate. However, that hope and protectiveness shattered once he was on the plane. The next few weeks were a blur. Despite being at a new location, nothing changed for him. That wasn't until one performance, when he saw a glimpse of a new expression from an audience member. Horror. Huh? Who is she? Later, Leon was sitting in his cage while some of the animals were still performing. His thoughts were usually empty, but he couldn't stop thinking about what he saw. Then he noticed something sneaking around. An animal he recognized, a wolf. She saw him staring, then went up to him, and promised to free him before leaving. He realized that she wasn't a wolf, but a werewolf. Despite her words, Leon didn't want to get his hopes up. The next day, while he was waiting his turn, chaos erupted. He heard the audience screaming and the cages next to him being opened. The werewolf arrived and freed him. At first, Leon didn't know if he could get away, but he took his chance and ran. He saw the other animals leaving as the performers failed to catch them. Just as he was about to leave, Leon suddenly felt something he hadn't felt in a long time, the protective instinct of a leader. He turned back for the werewolf, finding her clenching her face on the ground, with Trey looming over her with his whip. Leon lunged at him, letting his rage out, and swiftly killed him. The two of them limped out together. Leon gained a glimpse of Trevor running to their brother. After that, he collapsed from exhaustion. He woke up a few days later inside a large tree, with the werewolf right by him. She introduced herself as Flower, the nymph, in which she was in charge of protecting and saving animals. She had been taking care of him and the others, as well as arranging for their return to their respective homes. Leon spent the next few weeks regaining his strength and relearning how to be wild again. He was still very troubled after his experience, but Flower and the other animals under her care were very patient, bringing back memories of how his mother was with him. He also grew attached to them, to the point where when it was time for him to leave, he chose to stay. His pride was long gone or taken over, and his cubs were either grown or dead. He didn't see a reason to return, but he saw a reason to stay and help Flower protect the animals, something he wished he had done while in the circus. And since then, he has been a very reliable member of Flower's group. He has a distaste for humans and is very aggressive to them and other strangers, but he means well and couldn't be happier. And that's all I have for this video. There's a little more to Leon's story, but I'll say that for the episode that he's in. Fun fact, Leon will be one of the first characters that will appear in the main series. Anyway, make sure to comment below what you thought of his backstory. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye!